Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this lecture series, we are going to study operating system, architecture and structure. This is lecture number 4 of our operating system series. In this video lecture, we will understand how a computer system is architecturally designed, different type of processor based system, what are multiprogramming and multitasking, and finally some important OS terminology like job, process and CPU scheduling. So let's start step by step and build everything from basics. First, let us understand what computer system architecture means. Computer systems are categorized means mainly based on the number of general purpose processor they have. The architecture of a system decides how hardware resources are organized and how the operating system manages those resources. Earlier system had a only single processor, but over time architecture evolved multiprocessor system and large-scale clustered system. So broadly we classify computer system into three types: single processor system, multiprocessor system, and clustered system. Now let us discuss them one by one. A single processor system has one main CPU. This CPU is responsible for executing the core instruction set and running user program and processes. However, such system may also contains a special purpose processor. Example, disk controller, keyboard controller, and display controller. These special purpose processors have limited instruction set. They do not run user program, also only assist the main CPU in specific tasks. So in short, one main CPU does all general purpose work. Supporting processor help but do not replace it. Now let us move to multiprocessor system. These are tightly coupled system. Tightly coupled system meaning multiple CPUs are connected closely. They share the same memory, clock, bus and I/O devices. The main goal here is to maximize computational efficiency. What are the advantages of multiprocessor system? First is increased throughput. Because multiple processors work together, more tasks are completed. Overall execution time is reduced. Next is economy of scale. Instead of the separated system, processors share peripherals and share memory, storage and power supply. This makes system most cost effective. Next is increased reliability. If one processor fails, the system does not stop completely. Other processors continue working. So this is called graceful degradation. Now, multiprocessing system can be designed in two ways. First is symmetric multiprocessing, next is asymmetric multiprocessing. In symmetric multiprocessing, all processors are equal. Each processor performs all tasks. No master or slave concept. This is the modern standard used in Windows, Linux and Mac OS. And in asymmetric multiprocessing, one processor acts as a master and other processor act as a slave. The masters handle scheduling, work allocation. This approach is simpler but less flexible than SMP. Next is clustered system. So in clustered system focus mainly on high availability. What are the architecture of this cluster system? This consists of two or more independent systems. These systems are connected together and they are loosely coupled unlike multiprocessor system. And what about the storage? Basically nodes often share storage using a SAN storage area network. This provides single unified view of data. And the structure type asymmetric clustering. One system actively runs application, another system stays in hot standby. If the active system fails, standby takes over. And in the symmetric clustering, multiple nodes run applications. Nodes monitor each other and improve performance and availability. Now let us talk about very important OS concept, that is multiprogramming. The main goal of multiprogramming is to maximize CPU's utilization. Here I'll tell you how it works. The OS keeps several programs in memory at the same time. This collection is called job pool. When a running program needs I/O input and output or becomes idle, the OS immediately switches the CPU to another job. This helps overcome the speed difference between CPU and input and output devices, ensuring the CPU is never idle. Now, multitasking, time sharing. Multitasking is a logical extension of multiprogramming. It is mainly used in interactive systems. How multitasking works. The CPU switches between jobs very frequently. Each jobs get a small time slice. Because of this, users can interact with each program. Response time is usually less than 1 second. So this creates an illusion that each user has a dedicated system. Multitasking relies heavily on efficient CPU scheduling, advanced memory management. Now let's clarify some important OS terms. First is job. A program waiting in the job pool usually stored on disk before it is loaded into the memory. After that, what is process? A process that has been loaded into the memory and is currently executing. That is called process. And next is CPU scheduling, the decision making process of the OS that decides which process run next to the CPU. So that is understanding the difference between job and process is fundamental to OS design. So this is the comparison. Let us compare multiprocessor system and cluster system. In coupling, multiprocessor system are tightly coupled, and in cluster system they are loosely coupled. And in memory, multiprocessor having a shared memory, and in the cluster system having a distributed shared storage. And the reliability in a multiprocessor system, these are high graceful degradation, and in the clustered system very high availability. And the scalability in a multiprocessor system, they are limited by bus or memory, and in the cluster system they are highly scalable. So the choices of architecture depends on cost, performance and reliability requirement. To conclude this lecture, modern operating systems are moving towards parallel and distributed architecture. Architecture defines how software interacts with hardware, and multiprogramming and multitasking are the backbone of modern OS efficiency. So that's all for today's lecture. If you found this explanation helpful, like the video, subscribe this channel and share it with your friends. We'll continue with more operating system concept in the next lecture. Thank you for watching.